Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to this explainer designed specifically to help you, as a new manager, completely transform a disjointed staff into a highly functioning, inclusive team. Look, whether you're navigating the halls of a massive hospital network, running a complex social work organization, or honestly operating in any large institutional structure, managing a massive team is a whole different ballgame than leading a small squad. It's tough. But today, we're going to break down the exact strategies you need to build trust, streamline your communication, and genuinely empower every single employee under your watch. Think of today as your ultimate management playbook. We've got a quick workshop itinerary to get through. Welcome to management training, mastering total quality management, cultivating inclusive participatory teams, bridging cultural diversity gaps, evidence-based quality improvement, and finally, sustaining a high-performance culture. Let's get to it. All right, Section 1, Welcome to Management Training. We're starting by tackling your first big hurdle, which is navigating the total chaos of communication gaps and service errors inside a large, diverse organization. Which brings us right into Section 2, Mastering Total Quality Management. Here's where we learn how to actually standardize quality across your entire department. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is TQM? Well, it's definitely not just a rigid set of rules. It is a profound mindset shift. It's this continuous process where finding and fixing errors becomes everyone's responsibility. It actually started in manufacturing, but it's been heavily adapted for healthcare and social services because it works incredibly well. It expands the idea of quality to every single department. Instead of just inspecting for mistakes after the damage is already done, you're actively preventing them by fixing your internal processes. When your staff actually feels empowered to take responsibility for the final output, you completely eliminate that toxic finger-pointing that always seems to plague large teams. So, there are 7 core principles of TQM. We have customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence-based decision-making, and relationship management. But I want you to zero in on the 2 that are absolutely crucial: focusing on the customer, or in our case, the patient, and engaging your people. These are literally the twin engines of your success. Leadership and process? Sure, they're vital. But without an engaged workforce, your team is just going through the motions. To give patients or your community the absolute best care, your staff has to be highly engaged and actually participating in making decisions. That leads perfectly into Section 3, cultivating inclusive participatory teams. So how do we actually get the staff engaged from the ground up? Well, let's contrast the old-school, rigid, top-down hierarchy with participatory management. In a traditional setup, information just flows one way, down. And honestly, frontline workers end up feeling ignored. But participatory management is a real game changer. It shares decisions and harnesses the collective intelligence of everybody, regardless of their rank. You, as the manager, still make the final call, but you're basing it heavily on group feedback. You are bringing the frontline nurses, the administrative staff, and the specialists all into the room. This doesn't just boost morale, it ensures you aren't making critical decisions in a vacuum. And this brings up a brilliant concept called the tight, loose communication technique. You keep a tight grip on your firm TQM quality standards, but you offer loose autonomy to your team to actually hit those standards. Think of it like this. The standard is a heavy, non-negotiable block. These are your strict healthcare protocols. But the autonomy is a balloon. It's the freedom you give your team to figure out exactly how to meet those protocols in their day-to-day. When workers are given the autonomy to make decisions about quality in their own specific roles, performance absolutely skyrockets. Okay, Section 4, bridging cultural diversity gaps. Because this autonomy only works if everyone feels respected, especially among diverse international and domestic staff. A fantastic real-world example of this is the WACFO Diversity and Pluralism Committee. They actively precluded a strict top-down management style specifically to ensure labor inclusion. By bringing together diverse backgrounds, experiences, and totally different viewpoints, they proved that a truly inclusive work environment requires sharing perspectives across all employee classifications. You literally cannot manage a large, modern workforce today without making diversity, equity, and inclusion a core part of your everyday management playbook. So here are 4 actionable steps for teaching your staff to genuinely embrace cultural diversity. Step 1, acknowledge cultural differences openly rather than awkwardly pretending they don't exist. Step 2, understand and help your team understand the institutional advantages. Inclusion makes the whole organization smarter. Step 3, demand respect for all members, whether we're talking about a senior surgeon or a first-year orderly. And step 4, implement inclusion practices tailored to the uniqueness of your team. This is how you stop diversity from being just a corporate buzzword and turn it into a massive strategic advantage. Moving to Section 5, evidence-based quality improvement. Once your team is communicating, you need a way to spot daily service errors without pointing fingers. This is where evidence-based management comes in. Picture a hypothetical hospital ward. Instead of guessing why things are going wrong, they use data. It's a 3-part cycle. First, data collection, gathering hard metrics on things like patient wait times. Second, factual analysis, looking at that data completely objectively, taking all the emotional bias out of it. And third, the result, corrected service errors. By relying on cold, hard facts rather than gut feelings, you completely neutralize workplace politics. You focus everyone on the exact same goal, getting better. And remember, sound evidence isn't just about reading external scientific research. You can and should use internal feedback from your own team to drive daily improvements. Try implementing internal inquiry using short HR surveys or small focus groups. Your frontline staff often hold the key to solving your biggest operational bottlenecks. If you foster a culture where passing around that light bulb of an idea is encouraged and rewarded, you are practicing true evidence-based management. Finally, Section 6, sustaining a high-performance culture. How do we keep this going long after the initial excitement wears off? Well, applying diversity, equity, and inclusion long-term means literally rebuilding organizational structures and mental models so they are more human-centered. You can't just throw a Diversity Day pizza party and expect miracles, right? You have to reshape the physical environment, tweak how teams are structured, and change the spaces where conversations happen. When you rebuild the organization to prioritize the voices of underrepresented stakeholders, you fundamentally reshape people's perspectives. That is how you create a resilient culture. To standardize this across departments, use these 5 strategies, just like successful models at Xerox and the Mayo Clinic have done. 1. Align your goals with the core mission. 2. Smash those departmental silos and create open information centers. 3. Foster collaborative leadership where power is actually shared. 4. Adopt Kaizen, which is the philosophy of continuous small incremental improvements. And 5. Shift your own mindset from being a dictator to being a coach. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, remember this: your success relies entirely on empowering your diverse staff to take ownership of quality. When workers know they are a vital element of the process, their motivation shifts from basic compliance to genuine, passionate commitment. They stop just clocking in, and they start actively looking for ways to improve the entire system. So I'm going to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. Managing a huge staff isn't about controlling every tiny variable. It's about setting the standard, providing the tools, and getting out of the way so your team can shine. How are you going to take these concepts, total quality management, participatory leadership, cultural inclusion, and actually apply them tomorrow morning? The playbook is right here in your hands. Now, it's time to execute. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and good luck out there.